I've said recently that if you understand the drivers of human behavior, you will be able to put together a fairly decent predictive model of their future behaviors, their future interpretations. If you understand what ideology and values drive people and what filters they see the world through, you'll be able to predict how they're going to act in the future and how they're going to interpret the future. And one of the prominent ideologies, one of the prominent value systems currently is, you've got it, I want it, that's not fair, give it to me. We actually saw this play out during COVID, where it was never established how universally dangerous COVID was across the spectrum of different demographics of people. Yet there were very clear demographics who wanted to feel safe, who were afraid of it and wanted the costs of their safety exported onto other people. So they were happy to advocate for other people's rights to be trampled because they were getting something. So in a way, it was like a health redistribution. Some people may have been more healthy, or they weren't as scared of COVID, and other people wanted to feel less scared of COVID and they wanted to feel safer. So they said, you've got something, I want it, that's not fair, you can give it to me. And so that worked quite well, understanding that as a driver in my predictive model, and allowed me to make better choices. The interesting thing, if you look at the way this ideology has been used in the past, once again, you've got it, I want it, that's not fair, give it to me. You can look at all these different iterations of it in the past. Say, the feminists coming along and saying, well, there aren't enough female CEOs, or men are dominating universities, that's not fair. You need to redistribute those forms of capital to us. But decades after these policies are put into place, and there's quite credible evidence now to suggest that actually young men aren't entering university at the same rate as young women, and young women before marriage are actually earning more in a lot of cases than young men. Do these same people who window dress their ideology in the language of equality, did they ever double back? Did they ever circle back and say, well, now it's the young men who aren't achieving equal outcomes? No, of course they didn't. They continued to enjoy the gains that they had gotten. And so it becomes quite clear that the language of equality is just window dressing for hyperconsumption. I've said many times, progressives aren't really progressives, they're actually consumptives. You could play a drinking game for every time a progressive want or policy idea is actually just reducible to consumption of some form of capital. So knowing this, another huge driver of human behavior is status. And the problem with status is that it's relative. It's quite a big blind spot of conservative libertarian economic types to say, well, a rising tide lifts all boats. Look at the capitalist system. It's objectively making everybody more wealthy. But this misses the point of one of the main drivers of another subset of people, which is that driven by relative status, it's not the objective wealth of society that they're measuring, it's the relative wealth. And this is the basis of the saying, some people would rather rule in hell than serve in heaven, which means they would rather be high status in an unwealthy country than not quite as high status in a very wealthy country. And if you've been following me recently, you'll know that I'm always talking about cooperation and defining cooperation. So the drive for status, the drive for resources, the drive for consumption isn't necessarily a bad thing, but what makes it immoral is if you're gaining these things at someone else's expense. What makes it moral is if you're cooperating with people to create a win-win. So if you're both gaining, if you're getting your resources, your money, your status at the service of other people so that they're getting a win, i.e., if you create a product or service that everybody loves, yes, you may be collecting a lot of resources towards yourself and status, but they're also getting a benefit from you doing that. So cooperative win-win is the moral dividing line here. But what cooperation, what mutual win does the "you've got it, I want it, that's unfair, give it to me" crowd offer these days? Usually none. What do they offer in return to other people for their demands? Personally, I think even gratitude, offering gratitude or a commitment to the rule of law would go a long way as payment for the things that people demand. But they don't even offer that. Usually all they're offering is a very temporary and fleeting respite from their social attacks, their condemnation of you as a heretic of their ideology, of their cult beliefs. But the problem is we don't all share the same cult beliefs, and so temporary respite from their accusations of heresy, racism, bigotry, whatever, is a very poor currency for the things that they want. So if we put all this together and we look at the current issue of the voice in Australia, one part of being cooperated with is to be fully informed. If you're watching this video, do you understand the scope of the powers that the voice proposes? Another part of cooperation is warranty and liability. Are these people warranting what they're saying? Are they liable for any negative effects of it? Of course not. Have they even proposed limits? Have they said to you, well, should this be used to enact an unfair reparations tax or something similar, that would be excluded from the scope of possibilities of the voice? No, they haven't excluded any possibilities of the voice. What productive win are they offering other people beyond, once again, like I said, temporary respite from being called a racist or a heretic or a bigot? I'm not aware of any win other than that, which isn't really a win. It's just, I will temporarily stop abusing you if you give me what I want. But we all know how this goes. And the next time they want something, they're going to start abusing you again. It's not very complicated. It's not cooperating with you. It's not a win-win, and it's not moral. If you can't say no, it's not cooperation. You're not being cooperated with. You're being bullied. Once again, if we think about the ideology of "you've got it, I want it, that's unfair, give it to me," look at the past behavior. $30 billion, more than $30 billion per year put into the Aboriginal services system, the bureaucrats. Native title, where some areas previously open to everybody under British common law are now open to only Indigenous people under native title law. Special advantages. Inequality under the law. Has there been gratitude for any of these advances? Or have they simply doubled down on getting more? And if they haven't shown gratitude or thanks or care for unfair disadvantages to other people as a result of these things, what makes you think they would stop now? Have they even said they would stop? If you ask them, would you like to define the limits to what you're asking for? Do they have an intelligent conversation with you, or do they just simply call you a bigot? Do they say, if you ask to be cooperated with, we're just going to abuse you again? Using my predictive model of these drivers of status, consumption, I think I can predict with a fair degree of certainty that nothing's ever going to be enough for the people who agitate for these things behind the scenes, for the people who push good-hearted people into pointless debates, who try to infiltrate our institutions, who try to force their ideologies onto our children. For that set of extreme activists, nothing's ever going to be enough. That's what I predict. Even if we had perfect equality between all peoples in Australia, would they then turn around and use the same line, the same logic that's been used in America? Well, we weren't equal for hundreds of years. So for the next couple of 100 years, you're just going to have to put up with being unequal to us. And then maybe in 200 or 300 years, we'll revisit this again and see if you've sufficiently paid your debt. I don't know about you, but I don't have any confidence in these people whatsoever. Does anybody in the no camp feel like we're being heard or being honestly debated with? No. If you're being debated in good faith, that's an indicator of someone who's willing to cooperate with you. And when you're being shouted down as a bigot, that's a signal that these people don't intend to cooperate with you. They intend to hyper-consume. They intend to double down on, well, buddy, you've got it. We want it. That's pretty unfair. We're going to take it. So if you want to put together your own predictive model, think about that ideology. Think about relative status. Watch the behaviors of these people. Do they intend to debate with you honestly, without shouting you down, without verbally abusing you? Have they defined the limits? Have they warranted what they're talking about? Have they said you will be guaranteed free of any oppressive retaliatory measures from this? No. If you listen to them, what you're being told to do is to be quiet, don't ask questions. Take comfort in the fact that for a very short amount of time, we'll stop verbally and culturally abusing you. And to save your soul, according to our cult ideology, you need to trust us. You need to trust us and sign the check that is currently blank. Because for those who are hyper consumers of status, opportunity, money, time, what better opportunity than for Australia to hand over a blank check and hoping for the best?